in China is quite normal that you change agreements in the situation that the surrounding circumstances are changed. And in our Dutch culture, we have very clear rules. If we have agreement, we will always act according to the agreement.
This is Hanxin Zhao, a PhD candidate from TU Delft, the Netherlands. Previously, I reported the shocking news that after 6 years' efforts, with 4 top-tier papers published, the academic level that few PhDs can reach as a TPM faculty, I didn't get a PhD, but was retaliated by the PhD promoter, Professor Zofia Lukszo, who requested the university to terminate my PhD. This professor deliberately delayed my PhD for 2 years, although I was self-funded, prevented me from getting the PhD and further success in my research field. The PhD issue is actually a shocking scandal and shame of doctoral education worldwide. I also report the stalking and trespassing I experienced, which I doubt has to do with the PhD issue. With this video, I'm going to further review the illegal and even criminal activities of this professor, and the anonymous letter left in my home, which I doubt was written by her. I hope with the public attention, justice will serve in the end to get this PhD issue solved and to get this promoter investigated to avoid in the future more students being tortured. First, bullying, coercion, and lack of academic integrity. I started my PhD in November 2018, working on hydrogen energy policy analysis. I'm almost the first PhD working in this field as a TPM faculty. Both supervisors are lack of expertise in this field. They try to obtain achievement in this field with the efforts of PhD students. Compared to many other students who obtain valid guidance and knowledge from supervisors, mostly I had to explore this field by myself. The first year of PhD is a trial period, where PhD students have to finish a research proposal and pass the defense of the proposal in order to continue their PhD program. When I just started my first year of PhD, the co-promoter Dr. Linda Kemp happened to be ill, and she came back a few months later after I had explored the research field and almost finished my research proposal. My research field requires mathematical background. In the second year, the promoter didn't understand my first paper and requested me to replace the mathematical model I developed in the paper with the one she suggested. I explained the reasons why her model wouldn't work. The co-promoter tried to defend for the promoter by challenging me, but she didn't even have the basic knowledge in optimization, which is a basic math course even my students have learned. With significant efforts put in my research, in the early fourth year, I had 2 papers done and the third one was in progress. So in that case, I was able to finish the PhD in roughly 4 years. However, the promoter suddenly requested me to change the research line on my third paper in the year review meeting by saying that they wanted to teach me the TPM faculty perspective. However, there was no such faculty perspective, but her own request. Such kind of paper would help with promoting her own profile. I was told that I have to change, otherwise I should find other places to do my PhD. I was not funded by the supervisors nor the university. They don't have the right to change my research line, but due to the pressure, I abandoned the in-progress third paper and spent 1 actual year to produce another third paper. Supervisors just want that style of paper, but taught me nothing and had no idea about what should be doing. The new third paper was done by myself, including idea, topic selection, analysis, and the formulation of the paper. As her unreasonable request would seriously delay my PhD progress, to reduce my negative emotion and ensure my productivity, she sent a temporary supervisor, more precisely, a middle person to deal with me by monitoring and reporting my progress to her. Supervisors didn't provide any supervision until I finished the paper. Without any efforts on my paper, the co-promoter even asked for my unfinished third paper by asking the middle person to ask for that. I assume it's the promoter who requests her to do that in order to grab my work as soon as possible in case I would leave and put their names on my paper. Just a bit tired because the writing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How many hours per day you are writing and studying?
At least 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's sufficient time for doing other things?
Not sufficient time because even I didn't do this writing or work, I still have these things in mind, and I still keep thinking of this.
Okay. And you Well, Linda, I sent a message about Linda that she wanted to have a paper or the present version.
Yeah,
And
I sent to her.
Yeah, it's even if my son starts to send a message to you and asking, okay, can you please send this to my father? Okay, that's how it works in the Netherlands. It's quite normal to ask somebody else to arrange things if you happen to have contact.
But why she didn't ask me directly? Because she already contacted with me in the conference, in the mail before. So you actually sent me email last weekend, right? Ask for the paper. She also asked me for something like, what about the conference? So, I mean, if she wants you to ask me for paper, it would be fine that she is not available to do that at that moment. But she actually has the ability to do that, but she chooses to ask someone else to do it. I think it's very weird. And because she is my supervisor, she can ask me directly. The third paper is the most valuable part of my research. The promoter actually couldn't understand my paper for a long time after I had done the paper. Later, after I further developed a mathematical model which has significantly improved the paper, she stopped my paper submission to journals. In the summer of 2023, when I wanted to change supervisors, the promoter immediately requested me to share the model details to her. And I was informed by the middle person that maybe I can graduate it without publishing the third paper. I doubt the promoter intended to grab the paper.
What is the relation?
I think it's all together. So if you look at the market structure design, is at the bottom part is the technical system, and above that is the interaction between different actors, and also government intervention, which also can be seen as a kind of institutions or policy given to the market.
Well, what can you see from here? That is a little bit adjusted from the paper of Williamson, but the figure is done by yourself?
It's from Williamson.
But he presented this, I guess, a little bit differently, and by so far I know. But okay, if it is from somebody else, you adjust this scheme and removed the unrevealed hazard.
So if I only remove this unrevealed hazard on the figure, so you can see there's S above 0, but also there's a status.
But what is S? What is S? Can you give me an example of S?
S means support.
What? Sorry, support?
Support. Yeah, there's two types of support. One is market support, and another is administrative support.
So you should to introduce that in this paper. You will investigate free governance structures, sometimes also called market structures, and then it's very clear. And these are market, hybrid, and the hierarchy.
But I want to explain that in the chapter 2, the three status, market, hybrid, and hierarchy, interpret how the market will look like, but it doesn't mean the market structure I designed will definitely correlate to these three status or these three types of government structures.
And you have later on the hybrid structure, and that is what I don't understand.
Hybrid structure, the reason why I introduced the hybrid structure is tell the readers that the three market structure that I designed are not fixed. So that can change with different conditions.
Yeah, for me, the main problem with this paper is these how do you say it?
Market structures.
Market structures. So all of these sections in chapter 3, where do they come from? Why do you propose these? What is it based upon? Why is it a good way to do it? For me, that is really the problem in this paper. you propose a lot of things, but I cannot judge if I agree with you because I really cannot understand where it comes from.
And I says there are three basic governance structure. Please refer to the figure 2.2. So I think reader can understand that.
But we have read it and we don't understand.
I think, yeah, in this case, I actually can graduate within 4 years. But I listen to them for the social impact analysis.
The 3 papers, is that really a requirement? Isn't there an exception? Maybe when you work on the thesis, and they say, okay, in this case, 3rd paper will be later, but we approve the thesis and we continue the process. That's possible. The paper requirement, maybe it exists, but I had other programs where the requirement was 2 papers in journals. So it depends a bit, maybe. But when you agree on the thesis and they are happy with it, they will make sure that you graduate. When you have the 3rd paper, you have no idea whether the thesis is okay for graduation.
What I require is not, it's very reasonable. I mean, all the PhD behave the same way. So they submit paper, then work on the thesis. I couldn't understand what's the problem with this. And the paper actually has been refined for many times. And so far, what they says, their comments on the paper actually is on very small things. It's actually, the reviewer will not reject the paper because it's small things.
Okay, I don't know the paper too good. Well, my point is, if Zofia disagrees, it is useless of going against her recommendation.
In the 5th year, the promoter forced me to agree with actual work by describing her request as my own intention in the year review form submitted to the graduate school. She forced me to further expand my PhD thesis from previously agreed 7 chapters to 8 chapters by adding an additional literature review chapter. But she had no such request for many other PhDs who only wrote 6 chapters for a PhD thesis. And as a PhD thesis is paper-based, so it's not necessary to add an additional chapter for literature review because work is already done in papers. Her request is actually asking for another paper from me, and this time it's a literature review style of paper.
And if Zofia says you have to devote a separate chapter on it, then you have to do that.
But I think we can discuss this in the next meeting.
No, it's just a requirement.
So okay, so I'm trying to merge it into 1 chapter because now I have 7 chapters.
Zofia just said you have to make it into 2 separate chapters. So for the purpose of this meeting, in box number 2, you have to add a literature review chapter.
You will add there the chapter with the literature and you will resend this to us. So we are asking you to provide the necessary changes we agreed upon. We will not put them in the comments, but you will change your document and then we will provide the comment.
I couldn't agree with that anymore as that would further delay my PhD for 1 actual year. Then she forced me to stop the 3rd paper submission and stop my visa extension, and asked me if I accept the situation of discontinuing my PhD. After the coronation of the graduate school, I was allowed to submit the 3rd paper with my own name. I have improved it for many times, so this time I think
By Hanxin, do you hear me? The paper is very bad. What you submitted was bad. I was surprised you submitted. I was angry. Linda was angry. And if you will do this again, we stop. So you can submit, but don't expect that we will support you anyway further with your PhD. We will not do this. Said Hanxin, the paper can be submitted. Before this, you can't submit this. And if you will do this, next day you need to ask in the board of examinators here a new promoter. I will absolutely stop. That is normally the extension is given maximally for 1 year. Then we need to realize that actually in principle no extension can be given only in the in exceptional situation. And then we need to realize this. But do you think also of maybe something totally different, not continuing as a PhD, or is this totally not in Frage? It means that you are absolutely not thinking about this.
I think I deserve a PhD title within 5 years, or even I think it's within 4 years also could be done.
In September, October, we will decide, depending on the progress, if the extension can be given.
Only if you have enough progress and good enough quality in September, we can discuss the extension. So it really depends on the quality and the progress by then.
I mean, I can work on this thesis and the paper with quality, and like what I did in the past few years, but I really don't like to have some additional clause. If you can do this with good quality, then we offer you extension.
But the normal situation is that you do not get an extension. Do you understand that?
Sorry?
So it's not that you wouldn't wish to have an additional clause. The normal situation is that you do not get that extension. So it is something that we offer you as an extra if the quality is good enough. That is how you should see it.
I cannot see a possible end of this PhD. So I'm thinking maybe I'm trying to find some promoter, maybe not very easy in Delft, but maybe in other
No, I think that's very difficult to go that route, because a new promoter will also have requirements and things you need to do and add because he wants those things in the thesis. I think there are two major routes. Route one is to pursue this thesis, focus very much on what Zofia and Linda want you to do and do it as quickly as possible. Or make a decision to abandon and say, okay, this is not going to work. I'm going a different route myself.
What do you mean by myself?
Stop the PhD and go working somewhere.
Second, fraud, defamation, and serious neglect of duties. From August to November 2023, I requested to replace supervisors, but the TPM faculty informed me that they can't find any alternative supervisors. Continuing the PhD with the promoter seemed to be the only option left, and the promoter would approve my thesis in 2 or 3 weeks. The promoter also confirmed that there's limited work left and can approve my thesis very soon.
How long did she mention about how long it will still needed for to finalize the thesis?
She said it can be done within a month.
If there's no problem with working with Zofia, definitely I can work with her. But the problem is with lessons and other past experience I learned, I'm worried about that. I don't know how to solve this. That's why I need to solve this problem.
I would understand if there would still be like a year or 2 years of work. Then I would understand. But then I think you're so close. It's only a matter of a few weeks.
The extension ended of the hospitality ended 1st of December or last 1st of December, so far I know. And you can finish what the small part which should be finished in China, and we will, assess this, and you can get PhD. So it is very few work which should be done.
Based on this, I agree with not replacing supervisors, but add an external supervisor. The faculty agree with that and would arrange a mediation with all parties involved. Shockingly, I was excluded from mediation, but was forced to agree with the solution reached by others, including no visa to be provided, online defense, handing over my important academic results and the full version of PhD thesis in a month. However, after sharing my important academic results, the full version of PhD thesis, and working for extra 2 months, the promoter suddenly broke the promise to prove my thesis, but informed me that there's still significant work to do. Then I requested for a new estimation on the time needed, but she avoided answering that. She and the faculty refused to provide the access to school facility, which is necessary to finish my work. Finally, the promoter decided to terminate my PhD. The whole process turned out to be a fraud. I doubt the promoter had already intended to terminate my PhD in order to block my further success in my research, meanwhile grabbing my important academic result and full version of PhD thesis for her own career development. To terminate my PhD, the promoter even fabricated stories and defamed me in a letter to the university. First, she lied that I failed to reach the minimum requirement for graduation, but some of her students obtained PhD with only one low-ranking or mid-ranking journal paper. Then how come I failed to reach the minimum requirement for graduation? Second, she lied that I was not making progress and refusing to work, but in fact, I never refused to work and delivered 4 new versions of PhD thesis in the actual 2 months working with her. Third, I was blamed for being granted twice visa extension, but it was not sufficient to complete the PhD thesis. In fact, I was able to finish the PhD in time without any visa extension provided, and I became self-funded after the regular 4 years. I got the first visa extension for 1 year as the promoter unreasonably changed my research line on my third paper. I got the second visa extension for only a month when I requested to change supervisors, but the faculty requested me to take the mediation to continue working with them. Otherwise, they wouldn't provide visa to me. Fourth, the promoter lied that I didn't accept the mediations of school ombudsman and the TPM faculty. In fact, I accept the mediation of school ombudsman, who later concluded that the mediation for finishing the PhD with supervisors wouldn't work. Later, I accept the faculty's mediation, but shockingly, they excluded me from the mediation but forced me to agree with the solution reached by others. Fifth, I was blamed for causing much stress and health problem of the co-promoter, who finally chose to step down as a supervisor. In fact, the co-promoter stepped down after I reported to the school about her coercion to force me to leave the Netherlands in a month. Third, racial discrimination. Since my PhD had been unreasonably delayed by the promoter for a year, in the 5th year, I became self-funded and needed to get the third paper published as soon as possible in order to graduate in 5 years. Before submitting the paper to journal, I informed supervisor in advance about the schedule. The promoter didn't reply to that, but blamed me in the next meeting for not following their rules by saying that it's quite normal for the Chinese to break an agreement, while the Dutch will always follow the rules as set. That's totally unacceptable. Also, with her repeated cheating and even fraud activities, I don't understand how she could say that with confidence.
In China, it's quite normal that you change agreements in the situation that the surrounding circumstances are changed. And in our Dutch culture, we have very clear rules. If we have agreement, we will always act according to the agreement. And in the Chinese culture, as Hanxin, you said, maybe the time pressure is so big, so you say, no, I will try, but if the pressure is big, I will do something different. And that is different way of approaching the problems. By Hanxin, that is what we try to make clear. If you would like to get the PhD at the Dutch university, you need to behave as we actually in Delft expect. Because we are worried, it is not sufficient to act as you act.
So shall we make an appointment for next time, or
I think we have already discussed it. Because
you
said,
say
yeah.
You say in 3 weeks and maybe later, but
I will try to plan it.
Okay, and with whom are you going to plan this meeting?
I'm sorry?
With whom are you going to plan the next meeting? Who will be present?
Three of us.
Okay, good. And you do that via Zofia's secretary, right? Fanny, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
In November 2023, I finally agreed with not replacing supervisors by taking the faculty's mediation. Shockingly, the TPM faculty excluded me from the mediation, but forced me to agree with the solution reached by others. To finish the PhD as soon as possible, I mostly agree with the solution, but a week later, the co-promoter forced me to leave the Netherlands in a month. She wrote the mail in Dutch, in the condition that all other receivers are Dutch but speak English. But I don't speak Dutch. As a PhD supervisor, other than an immigration officer, she doesn't have any right to do that. The promoter repeatedly delayed my progress and forced me to write 8 chapters for my PhD thesis, and in the condition that I was self-funded, while many of her PhDs only has a workload of 6 chapters for PhD thesis, which was approved by her. She and the faculty refused to provide visa and access to school facility to make my PhD even harder, while no other PhDs were treated in this way. The promoter's students obtained the PhD diploma by publishing only 1 low-ranking or middle-ranking paper, while with 4 top-tier papers published, my PhD was terminated for failing to reach the graduation requirement. I filed complaints in the university, but the progress was seriously delayed and didn't work. The university refused to show the graduation standard, which is key to the PhD termination, while other universities are able to do that. I have finished all doctoral courses, but the university refused to provide the academic transcript. In the end, they provided a transcript without my course credits presented, by lying that credits are only presented in the PhD diploma other than a transcript. Their practice is even deliberately blocking my PhD transfer to other places, as I have to retake all the courses again. Fourth, stalking, trespassing, and anonymous letter left in my home. As mentioned, I find I have been stalked and my room has been trespassed since 2024 after I didn't agree with living in the Netherlands.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You know what I mean. Okay? Don't monitor me. Do not monitor me. I know what they're doing. Okay? Okay? Stop the monitoring. Okay? Do not do it anymore, okay? You'll get in trouble. Okay? Do not do it anymore. It's illegal. It's criminal action. I know someone told you to do, okay? Stop doing that, okay? Seriously, it is. And it's even criminal actions, you know? You following people for a long time for some purpose. It's criminal actions. Criminal. Prison. So do not do that again, okay? Someone told you to do that? Who told you to do that? And your boss or the
boss?
Your boss?
I'm working for boss.
Yeah. So your boss told you to approach me.
I'm not here, boss.
Sorry?
I'm not here, boss.
Your boss told me to approach me, monitor me, follow me, okay? Yeah.
You were?
Your boss told me. Do not do it again, okay? Your boss is not right, okay?
In particular, in July 2024, I found an anonymous letter left in my home. I thought it was written by the promoter. By using code words, the letter merely expressed the jealousy that I had my 3rd paper published, which is the most important academic results during my PhD, and frightened me that my home has long been trespassed. For example, DC Revolution, Governance Solution, and Market Expert refer to my 3rd paper, where I used transaction cost theory to design market governance structures. The sentence, reflecting is not something you like to do, refers to the time when I refused to be further exploited, and therefore was retaliated. I like tea, and there are many kinds of tea in my home. The word expert in Chinese tea implies my home has long been trespassed, and I know everything placed in my home. Last, by the way, there was another issue at TU Delft in 2023. The associate professor, Daphne Stam, resigned and left TU Delft because she was requested not to apply for the professor position in her field, and later was informed that she didn't live up to TU Delft's good reputation. She ever asked for help from Davis, Delft Women in Science, an organization of female scientists at TU Delft, but was refused. Surprisingly, Her resignation was used by Davis to advertise their gender diversity event without informing her. The chairperson of Davis since then has been the PhD promoter. With coercion, defamation, fraud, racial discrimination, and etc., the promoter's activities are illegal and even criminal. With less expertise in the research field, her career development mainly relies on exploiting PhD students. I don't know how she could live up to a professor at TU Delft, the chairperson of Davis, a member of the supervisory board of the University of Amsterdam, and obtain research projects in the Netherlands and Europe. It's clear that TU Delft is protecting this professor. However, without transparency, justice, and openness, but with a toxic work environment and mismanagement confirmed by the Dutch Education Ministry, the survey from Dutch unions, how many students and employees would become new victims. I hope that the related authority take responsibilities to start investigation on this professor and this PhD issue to avoid more people being tortured in the future.